Hello, everyone. I want to call the West University Historic Zone Advisory Board meeting of May, excuse me,
21st.
May 21st to order. I need to do a roll call to confirm that we have an agenda, a quorum. So please say verbally that you're in attendance for recording purposes. Sarah?
Here.
Me, I'm here. Rick is absent. Rachel?
Here.
Thank you. Lewis? Lewis is absent. And Damon?
Damon's here.
Very good. All right, we have a quorum. Meeting is called to order. I'd like to now ask for staff attendees to announce themselves.
Oh, this is Jody Brown. I'm the City of Tucson Historic Preservation Officer.
Thank you.
I'm Donnie Russell. I'm the project manager for the City of Tucson Parks and Recreation Department.
Oh, okay. Well, Donnie, you're an agenda item, but we'll let you pass on that one.
Well,
You're
I'm staff too.
So. That's good. That's fair. Good. And other attendees, please, just to help me as we move forward. So I see, and I'll call upon you if you don't speak up. So
Ryan Rapucci with RH Architects.
Ryan, thank you.
Tim Smith with Swaim Associates Architects.
Tim Smith.
Matt Smith with Arc Studios.
Matt with whom?
Arc Studios.
Thank you. And Don, you're here. I got you down. Okay.
And Brent Jones is connecting to audio. He is for item 4A.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. So,
Hey, Jim, before we start, are you also scribing? I just want to make sure I'm not supposed to be.
no, I'm doing it.
You're doing it? Okay, cool. In that case, I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I should have. Well, had I known you were willing, I would have pawned it off. But you were absent when Jody was looking for a volunteer, so that's fine. They give us recordings to make sure that we don't get it too far off. So we have a motion from Damon to approve the minutes of May 21. Do we have a second?
Anybody?
I wasn't here, so can't help you.
I wasn't here either.
You know,
You can
according to boards and commissions, you do not have to be present to approve the minutes. You just have to not object to them. So you can.
Well, then I second. This is Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. So we have a motion by Damon, second by Sarah. I will do a quick roll call for those present. So keep your mic on. Sarah?
Aye.
Myself, I. Rachel?
Aye.
And Damon.
Aye.
Okay. Unanimously approved by those present. With that, we can move to call to the audience. Is anyone signed up to speak to call the audience, Jody?
No, and we did not receive any comments prior.
Okay. With that, we will move on then to item 4 and our first review of the evening, which is item SD-0923000099, 728 East 4th Street, continued. Replace windows and restucco exterior. This is a full review of a contributing resource. And we'd like to get this done in less than 30 minutes, but we have that much time, and tell you the truth, if it takes more time, we'll take it. So with that, who's representing the this particular item?
I am. I'm here. My name is Brent Jones. I am the designer. And can you hear me okay?
You can.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm not set up on Zoom on the computer, so I'm actually on a cell phone. When I first got on the forum, I could see you, but now I can't see anything. So I'm assuming you can't see me either. I tried, but I don't think video really is going to work on the phone. However, I'm kind of puzzled why I was able to see you in the beginning.
Brent, because right now I'm sharing the screen, so you can walk through the plans. I have up your photos of the exterior, and I also have available the plans. So if you want to tell me which one you would like me to show, and you can talk through it.
Okay, very good. One of the first things I'd like to address is a question that came up regarding, so we're replacing all the windows on this historic residence with new units that typical in keeping with modern windows. They have all the energy efficient, benefits, the dual pane, pressurized gas, argon gas filled, everything like that. But in keeping with the historic requirements, we went with Pella Windows and Doors. They have a historic line. Now, they don't have specific window units that I could show you an example of, say, the window for the kitchen or the window, because they all have to be custom built. So there is a generic catalog listing for their historic window line, but nothing specific to this house. There wouldn't be anything like that until they make them, and they're not going to make them without a deposit. And the homeowner's not going to put a deposit to have windows made without the permit. So we're not going to have, but what I can tell you about Pella's line, okay, so it's wood exterior, unlike typical modern windows that are clad with some kind of, either it's aluminum, they're wood windows, but they're exterior clad with aluminum or vinyl. Not so with the historic line. They are wood exterior, in keeping with what would have been there for the period. A question that came up sometime back was whether or not the mullions, or the muttons as they like to call them now, that separate the individual glass lights would actually be separating individual window glass, or whether they would be only aesthetic. And the answer is that I got this straight from Pella, that they have a technology called ILT, Integral Light Technology. The window glass is not interrupted. This is in keeping with maximizing the energy efficiency for the units. The wooden mullions that give the appearance of multiple glass lights is just that. It's an appearance. It's a surface mounted. It's not mounted in between the exterior and interior panes of glass. It's mounted on the exterior, which is really what you would want for two reasons. Number one, if the aesthetic application of these muttons or mullions was integral inside the window, in between the glass, it would not look historic. It just wouldn't look, it would give you a distinctly modern look because you'd see the glass over it. Historically accurate would be, you really have to have the wood on the outside, and that's what it is. This ILT, Integral Light Technology that Pella does, it's mounted on the outside of the glass. And then what the homeowner or whoever purchased them will have the workman paint them just like you would do with a historic window. You would paint it. It's not like modern windows that are metal clad where they're factory sprayed. No, the homeowner would have workmen paint them, which is in keeping with the time period. And so that's the deal with the windows. The dividers are mounted on the outside of the glass. This maximizes the energy potential for the window units, and it also allows for that historic look. And so when I called Pella and asked, they corrected me on some of my terminology. A mullion actually separates two separate windows, but when you've got one window and you're just trying to create that look, that historic look where the individual glass panes are separated, it's called grills. And the wood that they mount is surface mounted. It's not interrupting the window, so they're not actually creating different window glass. You're just creating that look. And other than that, I was asked at the previous meeting if I would revise the elevations to show more detail of what the on the last set of plans, it was just the elevations were kind of generically drawn. And the only details for the windows were really called out on the window schedule. And also there were some doors on the house that were not called out. So now the windows and door schedule calls out everything that's on the exterior of the house, and the elevations drawn at 1/8 to a foot scale show the windows with details of the how the glass lights will be separated. So in other words, the aesthetic look that each individual window will have. On the windows for, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Hey, Jody, could you navigate to the elevation so we can see what he's talking about?
So I'm on the elevations, but hopefully you're not
maybe-
actually looking at a letter that I'm typing. Huh.
Oh, nope. Never mind. I had my participant thing all up
Okay.
and it was hiding it. So I see them now. Thanks. Never mind.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. I see what you're talking about now. Thank you. Sorry. Continue.
Oh, okay. So, well, one thing I wanted to point out too is when they put those mullions inside the glass, I believe it's called divided light panes. And that's not what you really want for the historic look. You want to mount it on the outside of the glass. So they will not be divided light panes. They will, the aesthetic application of the mullions will be mounted on the outside so they can be painted with a paint that will match that, I would want to call it brick red that's on the house now. It looks almost like a brick red to me, and that will be matched. Now, well, when I say what's on the house now, you can see it on the trim on the roof. If you look at the pictures that you have there as part of the submittal file, you can see that red color is throughout the house. It's also on the pop-out sills. The house features these stucco pop-out sills under the windows, and they feature that brick red color. So naturally, and one thing you can also see too is on the entry door, on pictures of the entry door, you can see there are mullions. Now those are in the same color as it's the unfinished wood on the door, but there's on the wall that is to the right of the entry door, there is a door that has the classic look that I would be describing. It's painted in that brick red, and the mullions separating the individual glass lights are painted in that brick red. And it would be my intention that from the best that I can see, that's how the windows really need to look to match the historic look. Now, one thing that was unclear to me at the time of our last discussion, and I was mistaken, I thought that the owner had only replaced certain windows, and you could look at the ones that were still original that he had not replaced and use them as a guidance. Well, it turns out the only thing you can really use as a guidance to see what was original is that side door to the right of the entry door that has a window in it. Everything else has been replaced. And at the point of our last conversation, in case you're wondering why I was mistaken about that, is because the homeowner actually had a draftsman who submitted a set of plans before I was brought on board, but he pulled the disappearing act. I'm not sure what happened. Sometimes, I don't know, people could have been an injury or a death or in the family, or maybe he just had some other issues, but for whatever reason, the homeowner was unable to get a finished product out of him, and he called me, and I picked up where he left off, and I used some of his information. But following our last Zoom chat, which was, oh gosh, I think it was going on 2.5 or 3 months ago, I went and I photographed all around the house, whereas prior I had only really taken some brief photos of the front and not really walked all the way around using the prior draftsman's information, which turns out to be not really correct. So to update that information, the house has these cheap vinyl windows that have been installed by the homeowner everywhere. There are no original windows left, and these vinyl windows do not match the original window sizes, because back in the day, these windows would have been made individually by craftsmen with the single pane glass installed on site, whereas today windows are mass produced in factories. And so you get windows today in standard sizes, not so with historic windows. So what the homeowner did when he bought these, probably went to Window Depot, he bought these, he put them in, he had his workmen fill in the wall around the discrepancy between the windows he bought and the original sizes. Well, I have called out on my plans windows to be custom manufactured by Pella's historic window line that they offer that will match the original sizes of the windows. So there will be no infill. You can see when you look at some of the photos I've provided in the submittal package that many of these white vinyl windows that he installed have infill around them where you can clearly see they don't match the size of what was originally there, and they infilled the wall. Now they haven't stuccoed it yet, but you can see what their intentions were. And I've done away with that. In keeping with bringing this thing into historic compliance, the windows, as I've proposed them on the plan and the sizes that are called out, will match what's originally there. As far as the patterns for mullions and which windows will be of a casement style opening and which windows will be double hung, I used a study of houses that are in that neighborhood, walking up the street and looking at some photo references, as well as basic internet searches, trying to figure out what would have been appropriate. It's relatively common sense to figure out which would be which. You wouldn't put a double hung where the kitchen is, but likewise, you wouldn't have a kitchen style window in the bedroom. So I kind of used that sort of logic going around the house and applying the windows as it would seem appropriate. And so we have the photo file, we have the plans with the elevations that have been revised, and the window and door schedule has been revised. I might call your attention to as well the number 2 sheet. The plans only have 3 sheets. It's a pretty sparse set of plans, but the number 2 sheet, sheet A1, called floor plan, features notations at each window showing what the original size was. And you'll notice that that size also matches what's called out on the window schedule. We will be matching that. Also, another issue at last meeting was description of the stucco. And that has since been added to the plan. It reads, restucco and paint exterior of house to match existing sand stucco trowel finish and existing color per historic approval. Make all repairs as necessary. There aren't many repairs, but there's some areas where you can see the stucco's dilapidated. The guys, the subcontractor who comes on to deal with that would of course address any repairs that need to be made in the process of restuccoing. Of course, it's got a hand trowel sand finish that will be matched. And other than that, just match the color. It's not an integral color to the plaster. It's just a paint coat. And that is pretty much it for my rant. I'll let you ask any questions you have.
Just one clarification before I open it up for questions. Brent, you noted that in the kitchen that casement windows would be appropriate, yet the schedule shows double hung. And then the bedroom is where the casement window is. Is the bedroom turned into a kitchen and oh, if you could flip back to the floor plan, please.
Yep, I'm there.
So 17 is the bedroom with the casement window in your schedule. And then 16 is the dual casement window that's in guest suite. So
Yes, I should probably clarify.
I'm just asking you to clarify. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I just want to and then in the kitchen, it does still show a double hung, number 7. So I'll give you a chance to clarify casement versus double hung and their placement and the basis for that decision, please.
Yep, you're right. I see that. Okay, so here is my explanation for that. So for instance, number 17 is a very long window. You wouldn't do a double hung on a window like that. That's when I was thinking of bedrooms, I was thinking of from the front. I said it without actually looking at but what I had in mind when I said a typical window for the bedroom would have been, say, window number 4 or window number 19. Window number 4 is you can see it on the front of the house. That's a typical double hung window. You wouldn't want to do a casement wouldn't look right for that. But for instance, as you brought up number 17, yes, you're right. That is a bedroom. and I didn't have that in mind when I said that. But yes, because that window is long, you wouldn't do a double hung on that. I mean, it just wouldn't be period accurate, not only for historic, but it wouldn't. I mean, it's pretty much unheard of. That naturally wants to be a casement unit. When I said the kitchen, I was actually thinking of the long windows to the back of the house, windows 9 and 10. The kitchen window, it turns out, is a double hung, simply because of the size of it. Again, making that a casement it would seem period incorrect. Windows that have that typical size, like number 7, number 4, number 19, from everything I see from neighboring houses and what seems period correct, those are double hung. But these windows that are unusually long, like they're 8'5" or they're 6'10". I mean, they're these long windows. They tend to feature in rows, like rows that are lined up. And those, if they're going to be operable, not necessarily all the time on the original historic window would those be operable. But in order to satisfy modern codes with emergency egress necessities, you really want those to operate. But if they're going to be period correct, you want those to be casement style for those longish windows. So I did misspeak a little bit on the kitchen. Obviously, you caught me on that one. And good catch. but yeah.
I'm not trying to catch you. I'm just trying to be clarified here. And I'll let others perhaps catch another comment I have. But with that, I'm going to open it up to the remainder of the board to offer their insights, please. So with that,
okay.
We'll let folks offer their perspectives.
Okay.
Damon, Rachel.
If you want me to go to a particular page, just let me know.
Okay.
Sorry, I got temporarily cut off for a second, but I did have a question actually unrelated to the windows. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yep.
I saw a note in here about rigid insulation. Is that exterior or are you doing some interior insulation?
Oh no, there would be no insulation work. Nothing is being done on the interior, and there shouldn't be anything having to do with insulation.
Just to add to Damon's question, no insulation on top of what is going to be ultimately restuccoed.
Yeah, it's on page A2, Brent, and it's in the little box, and it says provide 3-coat sand stucco finish to match existing overlap over 1-inch rigid insulation over 15-pound felt over existing sheathing, etc.
That's just a standard stucco detail. It's not really about adding insulation to the project.
Right. Yeah. Pardon me. I may have failed to bring that up, but I was thinking you were referring to like insulation inside the house, like between the studs. But it's very typical when you're dealing with stucco over framing to put this 1 inch. Basically, think of it as styrofoam. That's pretty much what it is. It's that styrofoam you get when you order things on Amazon. You open the box and it's got that white styrofoam. They make it in 1 inch thick sheets. You pretty much always put that under the stucco coat in order to give grab, if you will. In order to give grab for the stucco, they put what they call mesh over the foam, which is basically chicken wire.
I understand what you're talking about. Saw that note and didn't understand why it was on here.
Oh, pardon me, sir. I didn't mean to suggest that. Yeah, you're right. No, we would be putting that under there. That's a thing you typically want to give the house the energy efficiency it needs.
But you wouldn't be you're not. I guess and here's
It's just a standard stucco note. So he's just
Right.
saying that's how the stucco is going to be
That's fine.
repaired anywhere that it needs to be repaired.
Okay, so you're not restuccoing the entire house and placing the foam on top of existing stucco and then putting stucco on top of that.
Oh, no, no.
That happens
Anywhere
a lot.
you would. Yeah. Okay.
That's not unusual. So we see that. So that's why I just wanted to clarify that, please. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other questions? Can I ask I have questions of our architects on the board, please.
I don't see anything.
No, I have questions for you guys. You know, in these large casement window openings, I know in my home I have double pane windows, two double pane windows next to each other in areas where he's recommending casements. I just kind of want to let you ask what your opinion is of that, and are the casements really? If the casements are good, I'm good. I just kind of wanted to double check that. So.
I think what I've seen more frequently than like 4 casements like that would be like this 2 casements on the very edges and then like a fixed picture window in the middle. I think that's a little bit more of a standard.
There was.
Don't.
Sorry, Rachel.
Nope, go ahead.
There was last time when there was a mix up with the photos of what was existing and what was not. There was actually a photo that, if I recall correctly, showed this configuration. This kind of configuration, but in reality, those windows had been removed, which led to your, hey, that's not there. Take those pictures. This configuration's kind of this one here is not something I see too often, but this one actually
it's usually something like this.
Wait, where's your circles? Your squares are not where
Right
they're supposed to be.
There, I know. That's because I'm trying to do it on my phone and I can't.
It's showing up on the roof.
I know. I'm just doing this is like, imagine that whole
I
thing
see,
in
I see
place
your
of
drawing,
that.
okay.
So it'd be like a fixed window with casements on the side. And that's something that would, could go here, could go here. For this location, often, honestly, it would probably end up being something more like a pair of, oops, that's not what I wanted. It'd be like a pair of double hung next to each other.
Oops.
Sort of, oh my gosh, it's got a lag, sorry, so I'm drawing things twice. So I think there's I think it's more likely that something like this, god dang it, hold on. I'm sorry, I'm not on my computer, so it's a little bit harder for me to draw today than normal. So something like this configuration most likely would go somewhere like that, somewhere like this. And then a pair of double hungs together would go like right here, based on those sizes. Does that make sense? Or does this just look like crazy scribbles for everybody?
Got it. I'm following you.
So like, actually, hold on, let me erase all of this. So if you look actually at right here, this like pair of double hungs right there on the side, something like that, I think is more likely what would have gone right here. What's happening right here. And then I think that these larger openings, this one and this one, would have been like, so if that's the whole opening, then it would have like a casement and a casement. So it'd be something more like that. And then that centerpiece is fixed.
Interesting. Okay, thank you, Rachel.
So I don't know that I don't know if we don't have photos of it. Do we really want to get into all of that changing? I don't have a strong opinion.
I think the bigger question is, do you think what's being proposed is acceptable?
It seems a little busy. I think it would have been this configuration. So I guess I'll defer to you guys if it bothers you or not. I think it would be better to do sets of double hungs and a fixed window with flanking casements on those bigger openings. And they could still have, they could still do the, the simulated divided lights like that.
Sarah, do you have any input for us?
I've been following you, so the only thing I have to.
Brent, I'm asking one of our board members, Sarah, if she has any.
Sorry.
That's okay, Brent. Thank you.
No, I'll defer to the architects on the group.
Okay, thank you. So back to you, Brent, if you want to make any comments. Otherwise, I'm gonna see if I can get someone to move some direction for you here to keep things moving a little bit. But Brent, you want to say anything?
Okay, so a couple of things. I've been following you. Now, the one thing I would point out is on Windows 9 and 16, I have those as dual casements. So you have like two sets of casements mounted within the same frame. Now, which windows would you have suggested might look better or good?
So I'm trying to highlight. Can you see where I added the green squares on your 9 and 16? Do you see the green squares on 9 and 16 on the elevation?
They're very faint. I can see them though.
Oh, Brent can see.
Oh, sorry.
I don't have visual, but I'm following.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So essentially what I'm saying, Brent, is like when you look at Windows 9 and 16, where it's basically picture your 4 sets of casements, right? So if the center 2 of that set became a fixed window with a single casement flanking on the exterior of those 2. So it'd be a skinny casement by itself, not like French door casements, but a single casement. And then a fixed window that's two casements wide, and then another single casement. That's a pretty standard window arrangement for this time period.
Yep, I follow
and then
you.
Okay, and so then looking at Windows 17, rather than that being sets of casements with all those divided lights, I think that is more likely would have been a pair of double hungs with the mullion in between, which you were saying divides 2 complete window system. And I think the word you're looking, yeah, 2 pairs of double hungs. And so what you were saying earlier about so there's simulated light and true divided light. And so the simulated light is when what you were saying, the grills are applied to the exterior of the glass. You have a single sheet of glass. A true divided light is individual panes of glass within a system.
Right.
And I think I don't have really strong feelings about the simulated versus a true divided light for a smaller situation. So if it was, you know, just the new sets of casements with the fixed window in the middle for number 9 and 17,
16.
sorry, 16, correct.
Yep.
Yes.
So I do follow what you're saying, and I don't object to that. I think that that would look good. I personally did not see, and I absolutely don't doubt you at all. I didn't see examples of that, so I didn't think to do it, but it could certainly be that way. Making numbers, so yeah, Windows 9 and 16 having the central portion be a picture window and having only single, not double, single casements flanking to either side in each case, 9 and 16, and then 17 having them be adjacent double hung.
Yes, and then also, so essentially they would look like where you have number 15 on the south elevation, where it's 15, 15 next to each other. It'd be something like that for 17, and maybe even something like that at number 10. I don't know what's happening on the inside of that. But that would be, I think that would be more fitting. The like grid of all the casement and all the divided lights just seems busy to me. Especially with all of the other windows essentially being double hung. That sort of pattern seems more in keeping with the house versus all of these divided light casements.
Hey. Wow. Well, thank you, Brent. That was a great presentation. Thank you, board members, for your insight. Let me dream up a motion for someone else to make. That we accept the window schedule as proposed with the following exceptions. And that is for Windows 9 and 16, that they be casement windows on either side with a single window between them.
Yes. And then
in
windows.
The casement, and then in the casement windows, the simulated, and in all cases, the simulated light mullions, is that what we want to call them, are acceptable
Grills.
as they're painted.
Yeah, the simulated, the grills. And then
What are they
also
called?
windows.
I'm
grills.
sorry, Rachel, help me. I'm trying to take notes here. What'd you call them?
Yeah.
Simulated?
Well, they're simulated divided lights.
Divided lights. Thank
and
you.
they're
That's
called, yeah, divided lights. And then, so then also then window 10 and 17.
And then Windows
No?
10
What,
and
Jody?
17 would be pairs of double hung
Yes.
with a mullion between them, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did you need me for something?
Oh, no, you just made a noise. I thought you had something to say.
I do, but I will, it's your party, so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, for the purposes of asking for a motion to be made, one that I've crafted by everyone's comments, and again, I can't make a motion as your chair, is to accept the window schedule as proposed with the exception of Windows 16 and 17, with having a single window in the center with casement windows on either side, and the simulated divided lights included there. And Windows 10 and 17 be double hung with mullion, and again, the simulated divided panes as shown in the drawings. How'd I do?
That was great.
Okay, so does anyone want to move that?
I move that.
Okay, Damon moves.
Is Rachel Sarah, I second?
Rachel seconds. Any further comments? Staff? Okay. With that, I'll do a roll call. Sarah?
Aye.
All right. Myself, I,
What the hell?
Rachel,
Aye.
and Damon.
Aye.
All right. Very good. Hey, we covered an item. Thank you. I'm not, it's a tough job here. Hang on.
Doing great.
I'm still hanging in there. So, all right. With that, thank you, Brent and your team. You are now able to work with historic preservation staff to get to the next step.
Okay, and
Good
help me, where do I go from here exactly?
I
So-
believe Jody's going to be sending you to the next historic review process.
So after this, you'll have a review, which is step 2 of the plans review subcommittee meeting, plans review subcommittee, which is a subcommittee of the Tucson-Pima County Historical Commission. I will work on getting that scheduled and let you know once it's scheduled.
Okay, very good.
All right. Thank you.
That
With
sounds
that, I'm
good. Thank
going to
you,
move
folks.
on. With that, I'm going to move on to our next item, item 4. B, reviews. Item SD-0324-00026, 924 North 6th Avenue. This is continued. Replace all windows. And I believe we've got Don back to see us. Don, how is it going?
Going great.
Good.
So it was interesting listening to your last review. I wish I had 19 windows to talk about though instead of 44. But anyway, that's the way it is. So yes, at the last meeting a month ago, I'd made a presentation about replacing all windows at 924 North 6th Avenue. 44 windows is a big 3-story house. A couple of you were not there, so maybe I could just mention that 2 major things came up. One is we proposed a composite window and very quickly found out that those are not acceptable, which is fine. And we're told that we need to come back with either a wood or wood-clad window. So we now have a proposal that would replace these windows with a wood-clad window. So they're a pine window. They have aluminum cladding on them. They're white. They're all double hung. They are Pella windows. So obviously no Pella is good standard windows. We're
Don,
I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you want me to share my screen or would you like?
It's probably best. I don't have capability. I'm out of
Okay.
town. So yes, if you can share it, that may be best.
No worries. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So what I had submitted was the quote that shows all the windows and the sizes and the specifications for each one of the windows. And there also are pictures. They had built a sample window for me. So there are pictures down there. The quote just goes on and on here. Let's go to the pictures. There we are. So this just shows, I think that is, I can't see now, front or back. That's back side. There's a front side, there's a side view, and there's a view showing that they're double hung windows. What we're proposing here is that we would not affect the outside trim at all. These will all be window inserts. So we'll pull the window out from the inside and put these inserts in. So that was the first issue, and hopefully that addresses the issue of appropriate materials for the windows. The second issue was related to the third, and I also have, if you keep going, Jody, that's the side window. Go one more. Yeah. Okay, I also have the elevations. Let me explain this. So there are dormers on the 3rd floor. And the information I had last time is that in the mid-'80s, there was some renovation done on the 3rd floor. And there are some steel case windows on the one dormer. And I was asked to go back to the Arizona Historical Society and try to find original architectural plans from 1915. So I went to them and worked with them a couple times and found out they do not have any original plans that go all the way back to 1915. However, with some further looking, we were able to find plans for the renovation that was done in 1992. So originally we thought that was in the 80s, but it was in 1992. And this particular elevation, and there's one of each side of the house, shows the windows that were planned in well, the windows were there already, but it shows the changes on the third floor in 1992. And what was done there is, so the opening on the third floor went from, let me get my directions right here, north to south, and they built out a dormer going east that goes out about 8 feet or so. And that one has wood windows that were put in. And then there is a dormer that was built out to the south. I'm sorry, to the west. And so even though this is a south elevation, if you look up in the left corner, there are 3 big windows there. And that's where that dormer was built out. And they have some interesting comments there on the plans. One of the comments said, existing screened openings to remain. I have no idea for sure what that meant. The other comment said that there will be a new dormer with custom fixed window. And so they obviously built a dormer out in 92. They put in these custom windows, and the custom windows are steel case windows. What our preference is, I guess what I'm saying is that we do not believe that the windows built in 1992 had really any historical significance. It just happens to be what they put in. And our preference would be, instead of putting steel case windows in there with these grids on them or the mullions in them, is to put double hung windows there also, so it would match the rest of the house. That is the only area where, it's not just the standard wood double hung windows around the house. And so the other thing, just to confirm all this, I actually, after I had written this up and submitted it, I was able to make contact with the person who owned the house in 92 and was involved in this renovation, and confirmed, yes, that the dormers were built out then, and that's when all the windows in the dormers were put in at that point in time. I think that all the windows on the third floor were actually put in 92, because those are newer windows. Those are not original windows from back in 1915. So so I guess our proposal is that we would be able to replace those steel clad windows with double hung windows, and the others would just be replaced with the regular wood clad double hung windows.
Okay, thank you, Don. And I was your neighbor to the south in 92. I saw this remodeling occur in 1992. I believe Corky Poster was involved with its design. And I just want to note that, and you probably did not receive the minutes from our last meeting, but we did discuss this a little bit. And if I might read the discussion that occurred then for the benefit of the board members present. Our discussion did involve appropriate windows for replacing the third floor steel casement windows. The proposal was to use single hung as a replacement or double hung. Board was not comfortable with this approach unless there is evidence that single or double hung was original to the property. If the casement windows were added later as part of an addition or renovation, then it's desirable to keep that newer work visually distinct from the original home by staying with casement windows and not have them match the rest of the windows in the home. So that's the discussion that occurred at the last meeting. I'm going to let the board reminisce on that and then offer their observations with respect to your proposal. So with that, I'm going to be quiet and ask for the board's input and offer mine maybe at the end. But I think what you're doing there is just a fantastic renovation. And again, we want to hopefully get this to the next step for you so you can finish it up. So with that.
Right. And if I could make just one more comment, I guess I was not aware that it was recommended that we would stay with that particular style of window. And if it is, we can do that. Okay.
I use the word desirable.
Okay.
I didn't say recommended.
So I'm open if it's absolutely necessary.
I have a question.
Yes.
Jody, are you navigating the screen?
Yes, I am.
Could you, there was, one of the elevations had like a big white square on it.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I'll explain. So
one.
right there, you don't like that, huh?
It was just a little weird.
Yeah, it is a little weird. Okay, so this again is a picture of the 1992 plans. And what we had in the 1992 plans, this is to the east. They had 3 windows there, and there are only 2. And so we just blanked out that one window. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so your intention to go forward is to have 2, not 3.
Right. We
at
would
that
just
location. Okay.
We would replace exactly what is there. So whoever built the dormers out actually did not follow the plans exactly.
Shocking. I
Yeah.
can't believe that happened. Sorry. I tend to agree with the comment that was decided on last time, that if these were a different style and material, I'm okay with them matching the new material because we're replacing all of the windows, but I think it would be nice for them to stay, as casements or double hung as they were built. I don't think it's totally necessary either, as this is not historically significant, but I think it's better to acknowledge that this portion was not original, and so it should have something that makes it stand out as being not original.
Mm-hmm.
This is Damon. I guess my only comment is, are these your final plans? It's like a little hard for me to know exactly what you're proposing.
Well, what we're proposing is just, is replacing all these windows. I guess I'm not exactly sure what you're.
I mean, are you intending to use these images of old plans from '92 as what you submit for your plans?
I guess so. That sounds like there must be another step where I have to submit other plans or something, which I'm not aware of.
Well, I guess are the plans that you submitted last time, are you saying those are still your plans and we're just.
Yeah, I mean, the plans I submitted last time, I guess are maybe what I would say we're submitting. This is just an explanation of what was there in the 92 plans that just showed that essentially it's the same window replacements. We put the sizes on all the windows, and it sort of describes a little bit more of those dormers coming out.
Okay, I'm just going back to your old plans because I don't remember them well enough to know what's really being proposed here.
So these are the plan views that you're seeing. The architectural plan views are identical to what we saw last month. What's changed is that he's changed from a plastic window insert to a aluminum clad window insert, double hung insert, based on our recommendations at the time. So there's really no appearance change with respect to all the windows with the exception of the casement windows on the west elevation on the top floor that were prior to 1992 screened in, and now they were put in as metal casement, and he'd like to replace the metal casement with something more energy efficient, and had proposed double hung wood, and Rachel suggested that they be a double hung wood clad, that they be architecturally different than the rest of the other, what I guess it'd be, and I have no many, let's say there's between all the windows in that west facing top floor area, let's say there's 6 windows instead of the 42 windows he's replacing double hung. He would replace 36 of the windows double hung, and then the ones on that north facing or west facing west elevation story space, Rachel's suggesting utilizing a window other than double hung, just to show that that was architecturally different historically. And in fact, it was probably a summer sleeping porch or something like that way back when, if that was the case. So, so really, we're just talking windows, and he's not changing anything materially other than the type of window framing that's going in there, if I'm correct. So Jody or Don, if I mischaracterized what I thought you presented, please correct me.
No, I think that's correct. I think that again in that dormer coming out there, what you're seeing here are the windows that are facing west, and then is on each side there are 2 windows, and so yeah, there's about 6 windows there, and I guess we can make them match more what currently is there. I mean, I know we can do that if that's what's preferred.
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate for them to not look like they were original to,
Okay.
as that was an addition in 92, that it all look like it's from a separate time, and they can be the same material, you know, you can still use your Pella window. I think just having them all be the double hung starts to try to make that addition from 92 look like it was original.
Okay. Okay, so I
Don't
sort of
they
understand.
don't they kind of differentiate themselves sort of naturally because the spacing is different and the aspect ratio is different?
Well, Damon,
I think it gets busy if they're double hung.
That's my question.
What was your question,
Yeah.
Jim?
My question was, is that, I think, Don had proposed, despite our comments from last month, that they be double hung as opposed to continue to be, and as opposed to be a casement window. And again, what Rachel's saying, they can be Pella casement windows, wood with aluminum cladding, but just have them match the size that's there, and whether they open or not, that's up to Don. So,
Yeah, they could be fixed or casement. I think a series of double hung like that is going to start to get really busy too.
So
It's going to be the
what you-
same situation we ran into with the last project with all the
Sure.
divided lights and all that.
So what you're saying
but-
is so they would have the dividers, the
No.
mullion. They would not?
No, they would look like they look right now on this drawing. They would
Oh,
just
okay.
open or not.
Oh, okay, I understand. So they would just open differently instead of being double hung,
Correct.
if they open.
and I think
If you,
Rachel's
right,
right,
so you could, yeah.
they wouldn't even necessarily have to be able to open.
Well,
Yeah, if you don't want, like, maybe you only have
Right.
2 of them open,
Right,
you know,
right.
they
We
don't
cer-
necessarily all have to open.
right, we certainly would not need to have all of them open. Yeah, no,
Right, save
I
you some
understand.
money.
Yeah, okay, and then those could still be a dual pane window, so.
Yeah,
could-
they would still match all of the specs for your new window that you're proposing. It's just a different style of,
Yeah, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, and that would be actually, yeah, I agree with you. Probably would look better. Yeah,
And it may even be more economical. So who
yeah,
knows?
well, yeah, None of this is too economical, unfortunately.
No, none of this.
But we're working through that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, that would be perfectly okay. We'd be glad to do that.
Okay. Any further questions on the board then? Should I craft a motion or does someone want to entertain one? If I craft it, you still have to, someone else still has to make it, but. Okay, hearing no objections. I'll say all windows with the exceptions of the west facing third floor windows can be the double hung Pella composite windows as proposed.
Not
Wood
composite.
Excuse me?
Composite?
Well, no, not composite, clad.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wood clad with the third floor west elevation.
Would it, Jim, sorry to interrupt. Would it be easier to say all windows on the 1992 edition should be, rather than trying to describe each elevation?
So the only thing I don't want to clarify there is that, again, on the third floor, all those windows were replaced in 1992, but the ones on the north, south, and east are all just regular double hung windows. So the only ones that are like this are the ones that are coming out on this dormer on the south.
Oh, okay.
So I think what we're saying, I believe what you're saying is that for that dormer, those windows you want to have this different way. So it's not only these four here, but it's also the ones on the two sides of the
On
dormer.
the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just that dormer would keep.
Right. So I describe it
the-
as, yeah, as the dormer on the third floor, those windows.
Right. Okay. So let's say just, okay, so the motion would be that all windows, with the exception of the third floor dormer, be replaced with the proposed Pella aluminum clad wood double hung windows. And the dormer windows on the third floor would be replaced with a similar Pella wood clad casement window that can or cannot open.
Well, casement or fixed.
Casement or fixed, is that the word? Okay, so casement means it moves. Thank you. I'm still learning my architecture.
No worries. Is that all we need? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Rachel Sarah. I motion that, or I move that. I don't know.
What Jim said.
The motion, thank you. That's fine. I've got the motion down.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Is
This
Damon a
is-
second?
Oh,
Damon
good.
seconds. I'm gonna roll call. Stand by.
Aye.
Sarah.
Yes.
Aaron. Sarah, yes. Me, yes. Sorry, I gotta. And Damon, yes. And Rachel, yes. So it passes
Yes.
unanimously. Very good work, Don. We look forward to seeing those windows coming in.
Thank you.
However, good luck with your next step with the next historic review. So
So,
Jody will shepherd you through that.
okay, that sounds great.
And, well, I look forward to seeing the work done.
Okay,
Your neighbor. So I hope to see you in the alley. So
okay, thanks very much.
all right, thanks
Thanks,
everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks everyone for that. Moving on then to item 4, reviews. Case number SD-0324-00025, 941 North 4th Avenue.
So I'll just very quickly introduce this. My name is Donnie Russell. I'm the project manager with the City of Tucson Parks and Recreation Department. And as part of our Prop 407 bond issue, we promised to renovate the restroom at Catalina Park. So here we are getting ready to renovate the restroom at Catalina Park. And I'm now going to turn this over to Matt Smith from Arc Studios and Tim Smith from Swaim and Associates. No relation, I don't believe. And I'm going to go ahead and zip it up so I don't say anything that's wrong.
Thanks, Tommy.
Matt, if you're presenting, I made you co-host so you can share your screen.
Okay.
Unless you want me to share my screen again, and I can do that too.
No, I have it ready to present.
Okay.
All right. Am I sharing the right screen?
Yes.
See ya.
Looks
Perfect.
good.
All right. So I am Matt Smith with Arc Studios. Tim Smith, no relation, with Swaim Associates on the call as well. We are presenting, as Donnie said, the improvements for the Catalina Park restroom. This is Prop 407 funding to make this restroom handicap accessible. So up on the screen are the current 4 elevations. There won't be many changes to the building except on the east and west elevations. The existing 2-foot doors, the 2 of them will be replaced with a single 36-inch wide door. No changes to the north elevation, no changes to the south elevation. As far as the building is concerned, it's just replacing the doors on the east and west elevation. The doors will be replaced in the same style, hollow metal door, no louvers, just as you see it now. The opening will be infilled with stucco to match existing. The inside will be matched existing as well. There will be some site changes with the fencing on both the east and west elevations. This is to accommodate the larger door. So instead of the fence returning to the middle of the building, the fence will return to the north of the building. As well as exterior changes, we are doing some interior modifications with the stalls, fixtures. This involves new plumbing, new water lines. So the concrete in front of the building, this will all get torn up. If you look at the south elevation, there won't be a large footprint of concrete removed, but we're going to go to the nearest score joint, probably near the middle columns, and remove this concrete so we can get utilities in there. And then I'll jump ahead to some of the plan views so you can see. But this arch of concrete, we are proposing to not put that back in kind. We'll do something more simple, just with the straight walkway, and then these bike racks will go with the gravel. So looking ahead, these are the proposed elevations. The 2 24-inch doors on the east elevation and west elevation. Like I said, get replaced with one 36-inch door, and the opening gets infilled. These are some views of the park. One proposed add alternate to this bid. There are about 14 oleanders throughout the park. We are proposing, if funding is available for the contractor, to remove these 14 oleander stumps and all, and they would be replaced with Chinese pistache or something a little more park friendly. This is a view of the existing fence. It's showing returning to the middle of the building. There would be a column, steel post, not a column, sorry, added back here and returning back to the north end of the building. Or I believe, sorry, that's the south end of the building. The fence would be stylized to match existing. The existing door would match, or the proposed door would match the existing, both in the style, just a wider door, and painted to match this color scheme. The existing concrete is kind of a salmon color. We're trying to match that as best possible. We'll have the contractor provide samples before it is installed. And the last bit to share, this is the demo plan. So this is showing the concrete removed. We're proposing concrete moved back to the south edge of the building, some of the pool deck with the wading pool. And then that arched area where the bike racks are, just so we can get the utilities in here. And then all this would be replaced with concrete to match as best possible existing color, with bike racks going in the gravel. So I know I ran through that a little fast, but trying to keep this short and sweet. I'll open up to any questions or if Tim has any input.
Right, thank you, Matt. Before I open it up to the board, I've got 3 quick questions. I believe all the pink concrete that you're proposing to remove and replace was installed with the splash pad installation, and so it was not the historically placed concrete. Second, this is a gee whiz question. Did the southern doors that entered into the splash pad area enter into separate bathrooms, or were there like 4 bathrooms there at once? But
there are 4 bathrooms currently. The north and south doors are service doors.
Yeah,
for storage.
I'm sorry?
The north and south doors are just storage rooms.
Yeah. And then finally, and this is something for the board to ponder, but Parks and Rec has had a heck of a time designing and managing bathrooms. This one, when it is open these days, is no less challenging than any others. And it's my understanding that doors that have louvers or that have the ability for, say, the top 6 inches or the bottom 6 inches to allow for people to hear what may be going on in there in case something nefarious is happening is appropriate. And I'm just wondering whether our desire to maintain as much historic presence as possible would apply to perhaps doors that might apply to more modern safe by design standards associated with community bathrooms. And Matt, I don't know if you're a scholar of bathrooms by any means in parks, but I'll tell you, none of them have been able to achieve an appropriate bathroom. The ones that went in Anza Park, and they went through historic review and they got approved and they've got louvered doors, and it's been a management nightmare there. And have you learned any lessons from the Parks and Rec and their management of that? It's just, this is not our purview. There's a whole host of issues associated with bathroom design, but it has nothing to do with the historic design changes that you wanted to hear. So I'll shut up about that and then open it up to what you presented to the board. But I just kind of wanted to comment on.
Let me touch on that real quick, Jim. I guess we could call ourselves a bathroom expert, but we're still going through the hurdles. We're working on 4 of these projects with the city right now, all bathrooms. And I was part of the design team that did Anza. So we're continuously learning, and Tim can probably say more on this because
Absolutely,
he's dealt with this more. But we're open to putting in louver doors or more safety and visibility if that's the direction. We're just trying to keep more of the historic.
Yeah, often undercutting the door, raising the bottom of the door 4 or 8 inches. We are doing that on other projects with the city. So new restroom buildings that are going in at Joaquin Murrieta Park over on the west side of town, that is the direction. And it is for safety, for security. There's you get a reduction in privacy by having the bottom of your door cut off, but there's also an added level of safety and a lessening of the probability of someone choosing to camp in there all night. So I would guess, and Donnie might straighten me out, that given their druthers, city parks would probably want to raise the bottom of the door. The other thing it does is just from a maintenance standpoint, they're hosing these things out. So that just tears up the frames and the doors very quickly. It rusts them out. So you know, having it lifted up a few inches helps to make that door last longer and look better for longer.
Is this a contributing building?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, the park is contributing. Hold on. Let me pull that up.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering the same
Uh,
thing, and I know the pool is contributing, but I'm not sure the building is.
It's kind of weird proportions to be contributing, in my opinion, for like where the windows and doors like don't align and stuff like that. I don't have an issue with the solid door or it having the gap at the bottom, like the 4-inch gap. I do, however, if it is contributing, don't like us hiding the existence of the second little door. But I don't know how else to, if that would be,
So that
you know,
that we had kind of
in-
a courtesy review previously, kind of discussing what might be an issue, and so the approach that was suggested at that point was, as we stucco infill where the other door is going away, if we inset that. So what we're detailing is insetting that patch an inch back in. So it would indicate that there was an opening there. Architecturally, it, you know, that doesn't improve the balance, but it
No.
does indicate that there was an opening there.
Yeah, I just know it's something that comes up a lot, that we don't let people enclose doors and windows without some sort of nod to there being something there, so.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, right now there are 4 restrooms crammed into this, and
Yeah, which is crazy.
right.
I mean, if the building's contributing, then I think there should be some sort of indication of that. If it's not contributing, I don't care.
So it's pretty brief in the inventory form. Grass lawn with numerous trees and shrubs, Spanish colonial revival bathhouse.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. So,
Okay, so it is contributing. So then I would say
yeah.
we should have an acknowledgement of that door existing.
So Matt, if you switch to the elevations, I think you can see where that right. So the darker colored hatch pattern is where that infill
Mhm.
would be, and then it's set back in an inch or recessed.
May I ask a couple questions? I'm not sure I'm 100% tracking. So I'm familiar with the 2 restrooms, but you're saying there's actually 4 and the 2 south ones are unused?
Correct. Yeah, Matt, if you could switch to the demo plan, you might, yeah, well, let's see, you have the architectural demo plan. Come on.
I can try to pull it up now.
So here's an idea to blow your budget with. Why not have the north and south doors that are the right width be your new bathroom entrance doors, and then leave the doors, the east and west facing little doors, in place, and move the fence into the splash pad area and move all the mechanical around in the bathroom to not change the exterior appearance of the building.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the plans will help answer that. So you can kind of see how
Yeah.
with the 4 individual little restrooms, and you can see where the fence was coming in, and how you had a pair that was inside the pool area and a pair that was outside. And then the central area is all service area. So the north half has all of the booster pump and electrical for the irrigation system in there, and the south half is maintenance equipment. So
is the intention then to just have 2 bathrooms, not 4, after this is all done?
correct. So pan down, please, Matt. There we go. Yeah. So it's larger than necessary for accessibility, but you know, that was really the only clean way to divide it up. So then that central space remains storage and service and booster pump. And then the door gets wider, and we retain that pair of doors. So the plumbing for that booster pump and everything, Matt straightened me out, but I think that's all coming in from the north side underground.
Correct.
So we're trying really hard not to relocate that from a cost standpoint.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. If money were no object, but
Well, and the other issue we would have, unfortunately, with using the north and south doors that way would also be, security and public safety. Where you're going to have an area in between the two restrooms that's closed off that you can't see. So
I was thinking that you'd reconstruct the entire interior entirely to have them have appropriate restrooms set up. And Rachel showed me once how to sketch on top of these things, and I haven't learned how to do it. So you're getting off easy. But
May I ask?
I'll leave it to the experts as to their opinions on this. So it's just
Well,
great
I'd
getting the
hardly call-
bathrooms done. So
I'd hardly call myself an expert, but I do have some more questions. Why is this the design philosophy? Like why make the door bigger? Why go to two restrooms? Like, can you just talk us through why that's the...
So the primary requirement is just meeting ADA. So ADA has a minimum door width of 32 inches clear. So the current doors can't meet that. You can't get a wheelchair through them. So we need to get that clearance. And then for the toilet needs...
May I stop you for a second there?
Sure.
Do we necessarily need to get that? Or like, does the fact that it's historic factor in at all?
ADA applies to existing buildings. Jody might be able to, yeah.
Yeah, so
Sorry, go
88
ahead, Jody.
Oh, sorry. ADA trumps some stuff. It doesn't trump everything. Sometimes when the door doesn't achieve the width that you need, with historic, you can change the hinges so that it opens wider and gets your 32 clear instead of making the door wider. In this case, those doors are like exceptionally narrow. I bet you my husband would have to go sideways through those doors to get through. Not that he's a big guy, but he has wide shoulders. Those are just narrow doors. So you can't achieve it any other way, I think, than widening the door. But Rachel, did you have something to add to that?
Well, I was gonna say sometimes too, you can like appeal to the building official to waive certain things like a certain slope because you can't get it to fit within an existing footprint. So there's kind of ways around the ADA stuff, but I think the whole point of that bill was to make things more accessible and use things that Parks and Rec wanted to do. I don't have an issue. I get the ADA takes up a lot of space and then you guys just end up having a lot of extra space since we're going from 4 to 2 bathrooms. I still don't love just the 1-inch inset. Is there a way to maybe like if that other piece was like another door that just didn't operate still or something so that it was like this was how big the opening was? I don't know.
As a panel?
Like a fixed door. Yeah, like a fixed door almost.
Like maybe redoing it, but leaving the door and then on the inside having it finished out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like the inside could still be finished and have your wipeable, cleanable surfaces and all that, but then maybe instead of it being infilled with stucco, it was, you just put in another door panel.
We just have a door as
from the
wide as the
outside.
2 doors and then kind of a little.
I was thinking about that too, but that
box
seems
throughout,
crazy.
Like I just drew right here. And so
Like a
instead
giant
so you have
door?
a super wide door. There you go. And then, people would certainly be able to get in and out. And if we gave you wouldn't need 6 inches on the bottom. You'd only need 4 to get a volume of air in there or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, just brainstorming on top. I've figured out what Rachel did before, so now I'm dangerous. I better.
I'd like to further understand. So I think you answered my question on the door. Can you continue your narrative on why go from 4 to 2? Is there something about the interior space once the door is larger that the whole space has to be larger?
Right. So the toilet needs a 5 foot by 5 foot clear area around it. So that's kind of that dashed line in there. And then a turning circle is a 5 foot diameter turning circle. So
could we, just throwing it out there, would it be possible to keep one side intact as is? And then you have one ADA bathroom on one side? So that we're only affecting one side, and historically you could go and see what the other side looked like?
That can come back to a Parks and Rec question. The tendency with parks, and it has kind of bounced around, is to have separate men's and women's restrooms, primarily because women's restrooms don't get as beat up as men's do. So having them separate allows at least half of them to not get quite so beat up, which is nice.
Not destroyed.
Right, right. So that's why we kind of end up with both of them having to be accessible. If we called one of them unisex, the other one could remain inaccessible, which is actually, that's what we're doing at Fort Lowell Park, is we have an accessible restroom that we're adapting in. And then we're leaving 2 of them to really, they're non-accessible. They have, but those doors are 2'6". These doors are only 2 foot. So it's,
yeah, which I don't even know that meets code. Isn't it like 30 inches minimum now? So you'd still have.
Yes, it's
is
kind
there
of
like a clear floor. It's kind of ambiguous, isn't it? Okay, just curious. I think the 2 little 2 foot doors are kind of cool. So it's sad to lose them.
I think that the panel idea is an option. From a cost standpoint, I don't think we're, it could go either way. So
yeah, I mean, and from our standpoint, as far as Parks and Recs, I mean, if we could leave those 2 foot wide doors in there and and then just infill them behind them, make those 2 foot doors inoperable. If that's if that's something you'd like to see, I don't see that being an issue at all. We'd just have to figure out some way to sign them so people aren't the School for the Gifted cartoon.
Well, if we remove the actual handle, the doorknob, so that it's a flush panel, that would help.
I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on some other questions. So on the north part of the building in the image that you're showing, there's like a dotted lined area. What is that?
On the north wall, there are that keynote 10.18. Those are changing tables. So they're baby changing tables. The dash is the clearance needed when it's open.
And are those also a requirement?
Those are, well, not exactly. Parks and Rec has been going back and forth. The state almost requires them. The state actually almost requires adult changing tables, which don't fit in anywhere. Parks and Rec probably would prefer that they not be there at all because they are more likely to be abused than used.
So if you didn't have those, is it possible to have 4 ADA compliant bathrooms?
No.
As a parent, those are like, man,
they're gold.
Nice.
Yeah.
They save your life. And I can say my husband is always upset because he doesn't get them as often.
I don't think you're
even when they're gross.
Bathroom, though.
Yeah, even when they're gross, though, you lay down an extra blankie that you decide how you want to handle later on. But it's better than the floor.
Yeah.
Especially given this is a little kiddie pool, right? And so these are gold.
Yeah. Even if you just have to go to the bathroom and you strap your kid in so that they're not touching everything while you go to the bathroom.
Also beneficial.
You're not always changing them.
They're multi-purpose.
Yeah.
So
what's the reason?
Yeah. So part of your question too, Damon. So they kind of have it shown. I mean, I'm sure they have it shown. Like I said, I'm on my phone tonight, so it's kind of small, but like there's these dashed lines and then the dashed lines around here. So there's certain like clear floor space areas that the sink requires, that the toilet requires, that requires the door. There's like clear floor space that's required on the pull side of a door, on the push side of the door. There's like all of these little rules that you would not be able to fit two ADA things in here if you're keeping this space intact. There's just all of these rules, ADA and just building code in general, not just ADA stuff. So if they start to touch it, they have to bring it up to code, whether or not it is historic.
So the
And-
sink is the reason why it couldn't be for ADA compliant restrooms?
Well,
So basically the
also
clear
have
floor
their-
space required.
yeah, they're not showing it. Usually when you see an ADA bathroom, there's like this circle that shows on the floor plan, and the circle is basically denoting like the wheelchair
you need-
radius.
Yeah, so there's a clear floor space, right? So there's a 5-foot circle that you'd show, plus the toilet clearance, plus the sink clearance, plus the door push and pull clearances. So there's, yeah, the ADA bathrooms tend to get really, really large. And
Yeah,
I think
understand
they're,
what everyone's
like,
saying. What I'm asking is, why can't you, based on the box that you drew around the toilet that's currently in the south part, it seems to me like you could have 4 stalls with toilets and like move the sink outside, and you could have outswing doors on both sides, and it seems like it would meet it. So what I'm trying to ask is, and honestly, I'm coming at this more from a resident who actually uses this park, as opposed to somebody on this architectural board who's trying to conserve the architectural integrity of the building. So I'm trying to understand why that's not possible.
It
Can't erase my drawing off to figure out how to do that, but I mean, I'm thinking
you
of
should have
a north bathroom and a south bathroom, and the storage area is moved to the double door areas, and the entry for the north bathroom would be from the north, the south bathroom south. And if you're having to redo plumbing, you're having to redo plumbing. So what's wrong with demolishing the inside? No, I just got to figure out how to turn on my comments.
Yeah, and really I'm coming at it from the perspective of, again, somebody who actually uses this park. I think the changes you're proposing are really just going to make it less usable for residents.
I'll touch
Because
on gyms right now. It would be an option, but accessing the bathrooms from the south, the wading pool is currently all enclosed. So we'd have to alter the fence to separate off the wading pool, so there's no safety issues with that. There would be more fencing, more disturbance, more concrete removal, more expense. And then we would have to move the booster pump, move the irrigation controller. All those have fixed conduit currently going to the middle. It's not impossible, but it gets logistically challenging of how far back you have to trace wires and plumbing and all of that to move the booster pump, move the controller. So logistically, it just becomes more complicated.
And why couldn't you just have 2 doors on each the east and west side, that where you make both the existing entrance doors both larger, and you enter into 2 stalls each with a toilet?
So if we were to try to retain 4 toilets and move the labs outside, you would be able to make one of those toilets accessible, and the other one would be able to be a non-accessible, a smaller stall. But the way that the doors line up, the doors would end up being more offset. The one for the smaller stall would be further offset, just to be able to get the turning circle as well as the restroom or the toilet clearance in there.
Yeah, so
I
there'd
see.
still be modifications to the existing doors.
And then the labs on the outside. So from a historical perspective, I think that would be more objectionable. So that I mean, it's
So that blue line represents more or less the middle between the 2 doors and the 5-foot clear space for the toilet is just outside of it. And that's what Tim is getting at.
Right. So I guess we could, if we,
So the center space between the two bathrooms has pumping equipment in it. It's not all installed in the outbuilding, huh?
The outbuilding is for the splash pad. This is for the park irrigation system.
But I thought that there was a separate project that was going to reconstruct the park irrigation. And that 80 trees were going to be installed around the perimeter of the park and the sidewalks. Donnie, are you familiar with that at all?
I am not. That could be a Tucson water thing. But regardless, if they do that, we're still going to need the irrigation pumps and everything that's in that building. I don't think they're going to construct a new building.
Well, I mean,
I would love to tell you I'm far more familiar with it than I am, but I'm not. So.
Oh dear. Okay, because it sounds, I didn't realize irrigation systems needed separate pumps on top of the irrigation system, but now that you mention it, it makes a lot of sense. And I'm just wondering why, if they're going to be rebuilding the re-irrigation system and putting in 80 trees and irrigation for the turf, whether they can rethink where all that pumping equipment is located and perhaps locate it with the splash pad pumping system.
Again, it probably comes down to just retrofitting the lines. That's going to be running off of a main water line, and it's a booster pump that increases water pressure for the valves. Any of the 80 trees, it might be Storm and Shade doing it with Tucson Water. They would just add valves, so there's really no correlation to the booster pump on that. They're kind of independent. The booster pump will feed as many valves as you need. Same with the controller, they'll just run new wire to that room. It's possible to put it where the splash pad equipment is, but there are, again, space constraints possibly there. There's maybe separation issues with the different equipment for the splash pad. It's something we haven't explored but can explore.
Well, it looks like there may be some economies that ought to be explored before this moves forward with respect to that, because that's not a small investment that it sounds like they're going to be made. And I just had a presentation, and I'm sorry I can't like close down screens and open up emails and find out who it was who invited me about the tree proposal. So, and I wouldn't imagine that they might have to come back and talk about plantings from a historical perspective, but maybe that's different. So I'll leave that to Jody.
in regards to the function of the space, currently, while there's 4 separate restroom spaces in the existing building, the southern 2 are within the fenced area of the pool and are not usable and have not been usable for, just based on the dust, quite a few years. So currently it's only the north 2 that are functional. So we're retaining the same number of fixtures, but making them accessible and quite a bit more usable, rather than the prison fixtures that have the lav on the back of the toilet, or the lav on the back of the water closet was the solution that's crammed in there right now.
Where I'm going with my commentary is that you'd have a little more space to work with if you didn't have to deal with the storage area between the 2 rooms.
And just for everyone's awareness, where I'm going with my commentary, and I agree the 2 south ones are not usable, but I think realistically, just given the way these existing bathrooms are used, I think I get the need to make them accessible, but making them larger is actually going to make matters worse. And I think it would actually be an improvement for the community if there were actually 4 of them as opposed to 2 of them. And frankly, I think smaller, I know it's against ADA, but smaller is better just because it makes it harder or less desirable to hang out in there, sleep in there, do other things in there. And so that's where my line of questioning was coming from.
And there have been bathroom models pursued at Pima County Parks, and I know at the Tohono O'odham Transit Center where it's only the lab that's in the bathroom, and that the sinks and hand washing is outside. So, I mean, in other words, these are just stalls. They're a place to leave yourself, but not to wash your hands and deal with all that.
Right, but what they were
That was
saying is
commented, so.
that would still end up changing the appearance because so to make them ADA accessible, that dashed line around the toilet is what's required. So even if we moved the sinks outside and kept 2 stalls, the doors that we like, those little 2-foot doors, would still need to be modified. So we
Yeah,
might as
I
well
understand that.
make them. So it's just sort of like the lesser of 2 evils, trying to figure it all out. And I think it's a hard conversation about how they're getting used overnight or security wise and all of that. But I'm not sure
No, I
this
understand that,
really
but I
be
think
solved.
realistically, like, I totally understand that, but I think realistically, the tiny doors that we like so much aren't really benefiting the community, or but maybe I should say they're benefiting the community about as much as a wading pool that's fenced in 100% of the time.
Might throw out maybe a middle ground and see how it sticks. What if we go back to the idea of 3 stalls? We have 1 elevation, we keep the 2 24-inch doors. Those are unisex. They're 24-inch doors, unchanged, non-ADA. And then on the other elevation, we do 1 accessible stall, unisex, mostly in the footprint we're showing. On that elevation, we completely get away with the 2 24-inch doors and do 1 36-inch door in the center that matches both the north and south elevation. So you get a little of the 24-inch doors you like, but then we're matching and not trying to accentuate changing
I like
the doors.
that. I think I would be more amenable to the recessed stucco in that arrangement that was flanking a new 36-inch door. Right, so you're saying something like this. Or then stucco, and then this stays as, why is it copying that? As is. Then you could do, to your point of vandalism, you could do 1 men's, 1 woman's, and 1 unisex.
And have the
And you have at
retain
least
the 2-foot
1
doors
stall
on the east.
and keep the 2-foot doors. Just like not touch that half the building.
I like it. I'm sorry that we're redesigning the project for you.
Yeah, really. I mean, maybe we see if we can accept this totally separate bathroom structure that doesn't, I don't know, couldn't we put I mean, they obviously put in the structure for the splash pad to accommodate all the pumping equipment. Why can't we accept a separate bathroom structure and keep
It's
this?
gonna come down to budget. We only have a set amount for the bond.
I know, but
The bond limits us.
We're burning your budget up with our commentary, and I think that you might be able to find a prefab bathroom.
Well, no, we just
pop in there.
we just cut their budget in half because we said don't touch half of it.
Okay.
I don't think the voters would allow us to ignore the bond.
Yeah.
We already voted on it.
We went through this with Onza as well, where we explored a prefab, and actually doing the stick built was cheaper than prefab. So there are some surprises in just the cost right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Do you guys think that this new thing that we discussed here of 3 bathrooms, 1 being unisex and ADA compliant, and the other 2 being left as is, but cleaned up, whatever that means, is that within your budget potentially?
And what do you think?
I'm not sure if it's a budget question or a functional question. I guess I'm wondering from a historical standpoint whether the number of toilet stalls impacts its contributing status. is the goal to, I mean,
It does not.
Yeah, I would think we might be able to actually help, Historic might actually be able to help waive and keeping the two tiny doors. Or you might have to appeal to the building official and say that this was Historic's request. Can we keep doors that don't meet standard code right now, essentially?
Quite frankly, wearing another cap, being the treasurer of the West University Neighborhood Association, we're prepared to pursue other funding sources to augment this project if we're able to get something that is, I think, the best arrangement for the park and the bathrooms from the standpoint of the neighborhood overall as well. And so again, I kind of thrown it back to Donnie, and again, I'd like to, I think as chair, and given the time we spent on this, and again, you guys have done great work and really tried to accommodate us. I think I want to continue this. I think I'll work with staff to have the minutes reflect all the ideas we came up with, but the little small door appearances, appearance of this structure, I think, are meaningful to us, and ones that are driving a lot of our commentary. We're, as Historic Review Board, the internal function of the building isn't necessarily our purview, but at the same time, as neighbors and folks who have an interest in design, we want it to work the best overall. So I don't know, I'll leave it to the members of the board to recommend how we proceed.
I motion for a continuance.
Okay, we have a motion to continue. Hearing no second, is there an alternative motion?
I'll second. This is Rachel.
Okay, we have a second to continue the item to next month. Staff, architects, thank you. I think you've done a great job. With respect to that, any further discussion on the continuance of the item?
will the continuance come with different recommendations or requests?
It'll come with a reflection of the commentary made tonight. And you gotta bear with me as I'm gonna have to scour the recording to summarize that, and hope all of you took copious notes and can correct my interpretation of our commentary. I'll do my best, but
I guess that's why I'm a little unclear on the continuance, because we're either asking them to come back with a new design of the 3 stalls,
that's a good
or
point.
get
Okay.
funding from Luna, or like the continuance is really vague to me, which is why I didn't really want to second it.
I see. Okay. So
Sorry, this is Sarah.
I know, I'm sorry.
There's got to be a reason for a continuance. You can't just say we have to continue it because we're going to argue about what a door
Right.
looks like, or where the plumbing, we're going to
Right.
require them to move plumbing, which isn't in their budget. I mean, I don't mean to be rude,
Right.
but this is getting to be ridiculous. As
So,
a
I
person who
kind
is
of-
in a wheelchair, it is incredibly important that you actually have access to a toilet. And to argue about 2 or 3 stalls when we already have a good design in front of us seems to me to be absolutely ridiculous.
right.
So what I would like is for you to withdraw your current motion and redo a motion that if you're going to continue it, that has specific things of what you want them to do.
All right.
Or we can motion to approve.
Regardless, I would recommend that you withdraw your current motion. Because you have a motion and a second. So
Right.
Who has
So-
to withdraw that?
the
Well,
motion maker.
The chair would
So David-
entertain a retraction of the motion by the maker.
Why don't we just vote on it?
You have no specifics of what you're continuing it for. So you can make a new
Great.
motion to continue, but when your new motion to continue, you want to have what you want to, why you're continuing it. Do you want them to come back with a new design so you can look at it? What do you want them to do?
I mean, we've given plenty of feedback on potential design options. So yeah, I think my motion to continue was with the assumption that they would return with an updated design reflecting some of the options we discussed.
So in essence, you're modifying your previous motion.
To be a 3-stall design, is that what you're asking for?
Yes, a 3-stall design or a 4-stall design or something that conserves all of the interests we've talked about, the historic character of the building and the tiny doors that everybody seems to love so much, and the other concerns that were expressed regarding usability of the bathroom for the neighborhood.
Damon, you were the motion maker, correct?
I was.
Damon was, yeah.
Yeah, so does Rachel, you were the seconder, do you agree to the revisions?
I agree to a 3, if we'd like to see a 3, like a single ADA stall on one side with the door centered and the 2 stalls on the other side, maintaining the smaller doors.
I don't think it's our job to tell them how to design it, which is why I'm specifically not saying that. We're telling them what we care about.
Yeah. Understood, but you need to give clear direction about why you're continuing it and what you want them to come back with, because you could come back with a whole mess of not what you want.
Yeah, because usually the
Yeah.
continuance is like, oh, we don't have enough information on these windows, show us more information. And so we want to have 3 stalls that maintain the design aspects we've talked about.
I think what we want is to make an effort at maintaining the historic character of the building. I'm not presupposing a design solution that does that. And my recommendation or my motion was a continuance to allow them to come up with a new design that does that.
Can I jump in for a moment and maybe add to this?
You don't have to second my motion. I'm just telling you what it is.
From a design standpoint, I just want to add, and Tim, Donnie, correct me if I'm off base here, but as the design team, we are open to the 3-stall. I think if the continuance says, you know, if it's vague, we'll go with the 3-stall, but it's probably better to rein it in and say, we will come back in a month with the 3-stall approach.
What if you have a better idea after you put some more thought into it that you think we'll like even more?
I don't think that's going to happen, Damon. There's just limited space. Like, they can't change the equipment. They don't have the budget to change all of that. They have to meet the standards. So the option is they modify one half of the building to meet that, and the other half can stay as is.
And we've been on this for months, and we've gone through multiple iterations.
My motion stands. Someone can choose to second it, or someone can choose to make another motion.
So you can second it, doesn't mean you have to vote for it. Second it just means you're moving it forward. And Rachel, you seconded before, you kind of were changing his motion a little bit?
I know. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're all understanding what we want. So I feel comfortable requesting or moving forward with the motion to continue with the discussion that we've had.
So as I've recorded it, the motion as it stands is reconsider the design with the observation of the board that a single ADA stall on the west side with retention of 2 non-ADA stalls utilizing the existing thinner doors on the east side be considered, and that the goal is to maintain as much of the historic character as the building as possible. Is that a decent interpretation of your motion, Damon? I'm recording it, so that's what you would see in the minutes.
I think maybe what would make more sense is for no one to second my motion and someone else to make a motion. Because I think what you just said is not really reflective of what I said.
Okay, that's fine. And I'm not trying to, I'm
Okay,
trying to,
I can take a stab at
you-
making a motion.
No, you already
I
have a
can't.
second. You already have a
So-
Okay, so
second.
we can.
So it needs to be withdrawn. And then somebody
Okay,
new
so-
can make a motion. Or you
Why don't-
vote and maybe it fails and then somebody gets to make a new motion.
All right, let's vote. Aye.
help me here, Jody, with my parliamentarianism here. So so the motion and the second that stands is to continue the item, and it's been observed by members that it can't continue without a reason. So is that an invalid motion?
It
Or we vote on it and then we can move on,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
Let's do
so-
that. Let's do that. Let me call the
But can we
question.
vote? Can we make more than one motion for one item?
if it
Well, we can-
fails, you can make another motion. If
Okay,
it gets
Yes,
approved, then that's a done deal.
got it.
Okay. So the motion is as stated by Damon, second by Rachel, is to continue the item without specific direction. All those in favor, let me roll call. Damon,
Aye.
Rachel,
No,
Sarah,
No.
okay, Jim, no. Who do we have left? Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Sarah, do
motion
you want to make a
fails.
motion?
Now we can have a fresh motion and see if we can move on.
Sarah, do you want to take a stab at it or do you want me to?
I'm not the one who has a problem with what they presented.
Well, you could make a
Okay.
motion to approve it then.
I move that we approve the plans as they've been presented.
We have a motion approved. Do we have a second?
This is
A
Rachel.
second?
I second.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
second.
Okay, so Rachel seconds. Any further discussion?
No.
Damon?
Nope.
Sarah?
Yes.
Okay. No, I'm
Oh,
asking
no.
if there's any
No,
further
that wasn't for a
discussion.
vote. That was, yeah.
That was it. Do you have any further discussion, Sarah?
No.
Okay, roll call. Damon?
No.
Rachel?
Yes.
Calling David Thompson, voice.
Oh,
That was my phone's talking to me. You guys got my phone talking to somebody. I don't know how that happened.
Okay.
Sorry, Rachel, Sarah?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna say yes just to move this off the dime. So motion's approved as submitted. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We're moving on to item
Thank you, by the way, everybody. I
Or-
just had to get unmuted to say that.
4D. TP-PRE-0524-00122 901 North First Avenue. Modification to laundry area and interior courtyard. This is a courtesy review for a non-contributing resource, and I believe we have
Ryan.
I am here.
Brian,
Ryan, thank you for standing by to present.
Absolutely. As always, I really appreciate your time in reviewing these, especially as a courtesy. Jody, I can go ahead and share my screen. It says it's
yes,
still
you
disabled, so-
can.
Awesome.
You're good to go.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's see. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I'll try to keep this relatively short. This is the Beachcomber student apartment complex over on 2nd and 1st Avenue. There is a existing laundry facility at the west end of the project facing Jacobson, and the ownership wants to basically update that laundry facility as well as update the interior courtyard of the space that's facing the pool. But I believe my primary goal tonight is to receive some sort of feedback about the exterior treatment that we were going to be applying to this area that's going to be facing Jacobson within the West University neighborhood. Let's see. So this is an existing plan, very limited, but it is still there. Laundry facility, a couple of laundry units. It's basically covered by a shed structure. It is basically open air. There's a rear entry point. There's stairs flanking it. This is the elevation. Forgive me, I'm trying to zoom in here. This is the elevation in question as it currently exists. So this is the rear elevation that's facing Jacobson. Oh, excuse me,
Jacobus.
Jacobus?
Correct.
Thank you. Stairs accessing the upper balcony, electrical meters, and this entry point right here. And then this entire finish, which I'll show later on in a series of photographs, is kind of like a T111 siding material that was laid up at some point or another. Just for context, this is, and again, we are in a very schematic phase right now, just sketch renderings, but this is essentially what we're proposing to do. And I'll zoom in here a little bit. So essentially, we're creating a very tight pod that is the laundry facility. The pool equipment will remain the same. And then this is going to be this kind of pool patio area that's looking onto the inside of the pool. I don't know if necessarily you are all concerned about that, but you're probably more concerned with, well, and here's that interior rendering again. This is from the inside of the pool, so I don't know if it's necessarily useful to see that. But this is the exterior shot that we're essentially proposing. So there's a little bit of a complexity when you're trying to place commercial laundry units into a tight facility. And that is you have to provide ample access for technicians to get to that equipment from behind so that they can service it at any given point. With the very limited footprint that we have, we've kind of come up with the idea that there's going to be a series of doors that the laundry units can be accessed from the exterior. So our idea was, in order to kind of update the exterior rendering from where it is, and here's a series of photos of what that kind of looks like right now. It's that T111 siding, and then it's kind of got some battens on it and an open railing at the stairs. What we would like to try to do is actually introduce a new material, and we're thinking corrugated steel, corrugated metal, as an application, and that'll do a couple of things. One, we think it'll hopefully modernize the elevation, but two, in some circumstances, it actually allow for slight permeability into the pool. As you can see, this is actually going to be the door that's dressed with that material that you can see in. And then also it may assist in actually venting some of the back areas of that laundromat. Long story short, the materiality, I think, is the main point that we have in question, and we just wanted to bring to attention to you guys that there is theoretically a precedent that's set, which is across from the street there at our neighbor's property, where they're using a corrugated steel fencing. So I will leave it at that.
Okay, this is a courtesy review?
Yes.
Yeah, this is just my opinion, but I think our design guide allows corrugated steel. So I don't see any issue
Well,
with it
this is
personally.
like you're recommending a perforated corrugated, correct? So we'll have the
Correct.
holes. And is
Mhm.
that going to go up by the stairs and for the new
Yeah,
doorways, or just?
Everything that's dressed in this material that kind of has a striation
Gotcha.
would theoretically be this, yeah, perforated corrugated.
And it will be galvanized, ungalvanized.
Yeah,
Is it gonna stay
galvanized.
shiny? Galvanized, it'll stay
Yeah,
shiny. Okay.
exactly. Attempting to mimic what's across the street.
Might some of it have an opaque material behind it so you can see through? Like, we don't want to see the back of a washing machine.
That's correct. Yeah. So because it is a conditioned space, we'll have to have some form of insulation in there. You know, maybe the underside of the door would be cut for ventilation, and therefore that perforated metal might afford additional ventilation in one way or another. But yeah, you're not going to be able to see like the washer box and the utility hookups and all that kind of stuff.
So which one of these would remain sort of transparent, if you will? Because you mentioned the pool door one would the handrail.
Yes. So I'll start with what will be more opaque, and it's essentially these 6 panels. These
Okay.
2 are the pool equipment, which we don't want
Mhm.
to see. And then these will be the laundry. And then
And then
what we're
what's
proposing on the underside of the stairs will be perforated.
what's happening under the stairs? Is it just circulation?
No, so we really haven't landed just yet, but at least on this side, we are proposing that we're going to use that as some sort of utility space for HVAC. So we need to provide some sort of HVAC condensing unit to this enclosed space. So we're probably going to have like a mini split that's sitting underneath there that's going to need to breathe. And so we were going to place that there. The rest of the locations, we had been playing around with the idea of lockable storage for bikes or any other kind of, I don't know, scooter transportation element that the students were going to use.
So I'm gonna just scribble really quick to make sure I'm understanding. So the idea is the only ones that will really be open. It's all gonna look sort of the same, but then this is the only stuff that's open. The rest of it is gonna have some sort of solid behind the perforated metal.
Correct, a backing. Yeah, whether that's an actual like Den's glass material that has kind of a waterproof to it, or an insulation of some sort. But
Okay.
Why not just use solid in the areas where you want it to be solid?
well, because I think at this point the owner has attempted to kind of update, give a facelift to this side, and
No, I'm asking why not use unperforated corrugated?
I mean, if I'm going to use this much, I might as well use a little bit more in order to continue the aesthetic quality of it. I think once, if you see this stuff and once the light hits it, even with a backing to it, there is kind of a shadow nature to the way the perforation works, even with a backing that's, let's call it 1 to 2 inches away from it.
Okay.
And this is not a contributing property, right?
It's not. I looked.
Okay. I
It's-
don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think it's a little bit outside of the normal like corrugated that we look at, but I think it's interesting and it's not prohibited, so.
Yeah, and no pun intended to be transparent. I don't know where the ownership is in terms of pricing, so we may be back presenting later on with a solid material, because perforated corrugated is way different than solid corrugated.
Well, I think we could probably help you by saying whether or not we would approve solid. And from my perspective, I think we would approve it.
Great.
Solid
Does
or
anybody-
perforated, David?
Yes.
The solid we would prove
Solid.
and the perforated, or no?
Yeah, I'm saying I think we would approve either solid or perforated. But
Okay,
that's
cool.
my
Yeah.
I'm not trying to speak for everyone.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just was trying to make sure I understood what you were saying.
So again, Rachel Damon, so we either want one or the other. And if it is perforated and you do actually want it to be solid, you'll do something behind it that, but from the alley's perspective, our named alley's perspective, Jacobus, it would all be the perforated material. And then in those cases where you didn't want people to see and you'd put something behind it that would prevent that. And that's here nor there what you choose to use.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Great.
This is 901 North First Ave, right?
Yes.
It was apparently originally called the Saratoga.
Oh, rebranding effort pretty recently.
Yeah.
Sarah, did you have any comments?
No, looks fine to me.
And then just so I'm absolutely clear, again, it's the exterior qualities that you all are most concerned about. The interior is not something that I need to present moving forward. We could just focus on exterior elevations, materiality, details, and all that.
You need to present the interior courtyard area because it's still the exterior.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting. Okay.
Do we need to look at that while we're here? Does anybody, I mean,
They may not be overly concerned about it, but you should still present it and they should still make a recommendation on it.
okay.
Yeah, what
In
materials?
the future, not a recommendation today because a recommendation today is not necessary because it's courtesy review.
Right. So, and just so that while we're on this, in terms of materiality, we're thinking, some sort of, Trex faux wood system of slatting on this side here. This is that entry point that we saw earlier, that's transparent. This would be a little bar area. The open shade structure, kind of opened up near the perimeter of the roof eave, and then it goes to solid. And then our interior designer started playing around with the idea of these kind of pseudo living wall things that would dress the laundry facility and then the backside of the pool equipment.
And I'm sorry, what did you say the pergola was?
This would just, I mean, the pergola would probably just be an open steel structure, to be perfectly honest with
Steel,
you. But
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
if
No, that's
that,
fine.
if
I
it-
just didn't hear.
at this point, yeah, at this point, that's my recommendation. But again, cost being cost, it may change to some sort of, wood product that's treated or something like that.
I don't
Refer to-
see any concerns.
Thanks, Rachel. Sarah, Damon, any other input?
Nope.
Jody,
All right.
any other guidance or action we need to take on this?
I would steer you away from wood for that. It's just gonna be my maintenance nightmare, but that's
Yeah,
not
well, and,
really. Yeah, I know,
all of
budgets are
this is
budgets.
wood.
You can't.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
of this is wood, and it's all falling apart. So it's my immediate response to them as well. that,
Yeah.
All right, thanks. All right, with that, any other commentary? Well then, thank you, Ryan. Hope that gives you the guidance you need to maybe come back to us shortly, and hopefully Rick will be back to chair through that particular discussion.
Great. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate it, and your time is greatly appreciated. Take care.
With that, we will move on briefly to wrap up the meeting. Any staff updates, Jody?
I do not have any staff updates.
Okay. I guess the only question I would pose, I didn't see on the agenda, and I guess Rick didn't get back to you, our design guidelines are still somewhere in the pipeline?
They're still in the pipeline,
Okay, thanks.
but not forgotten this time.
Okay. Well, I had to mention them since you didn't mention it, so.
Well, it was
Any
kind of a
future-
busy, I didn't want to put it on, given you guys had 4
Yeah,
items
no
too.
kidding. Well, I didn't, little did I know when I was in for it, I chose to do chairing and note taking, so. Any future agenda items on?
Well, the ones that you continue today will be back. Did you continue one? Wait,
Wait,
you
we didn't continue anything.
Nope, sorry, take that back. So the ones that you have on the horizon will be 3-part project. The relocated houses, because it'll be coming as the
Epstein
one
one.
that's Yeah, the one that's going on 548, and then the other 4 that are going to 926 North Second. And then you'll have the new construction that'll be happening, where those were at Euclid, the southeast corner of Euclid and Speedway. So you'll see the new construction for that. Those are definitely on the horizon.
Yeah.
How soon is that coming?
I expect the relocated ones to come to you sooner than the new construction. I expect those may actually be as soon as next month for you, because they're pushing ahead and making revisions. So yeah, probably next month.
And they demoed that one house. The one that where they're moving the house to Second Avenue, they demoed the non-contributing house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, it's gone.
It's pretty
Okay.
weird. There's like no house.
So, Jody, might we agendize these things as courtesy reviews in advance of having to have formal reviews, or how best should we handle these?
You did courtesy reviews already for them, for the relocated ones. You've already had a courtesy review for those.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, did you?
No, I'm just trying to fill in to Rick's shoes here, and I don't keep track of stuff very well. So okay, thanks.
It could be. I have to talk to the applicant. It could be that the new construction may come as a courtesy review, because I don't think you've had a courtesy. It's late and I may not be remembering correctly, but I don't think that you've had a courtesy review for the new construction.
The only reviews we've had are the public meetings. So that extra one that they had to perform a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, so you did do courtesy reviews for the relocated ones, but yeah.
Yes, we did. Okay.
I'll talk to them about doing a courtesy review for the new construction though.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to, from my, again, it's Rick's board, not mine, but I just think for the benefit of the board to not have to compelled to make motions and act and just offer general guidance might be beneficial. So.
Okay.
Anyone else can chime in on that opinion, certainly, and let Rick know. So with that, everyone, thanks for my putting up with my chairmanship, and I'll look forward to get your pens out with respect to my minute taking. So it'll be an interesting one to characterize. Thanks everyone for your time tonight. Thank you. Good discussion. As always, appreciates everyone's wisdom and insightfulness. I'll see you next month.
And just to note, you're adjourning at 8:20.
8:20. And what did you have us as? I thought we started right on time. Am I not correct?
I will concur that we started on time.
All right. Well, we'll check. Yeah, check the recording. Okay. And then just a sidebar, Jody, I presume you've stopped the recording.